Well, welcome to class, Keeping House with EFT. My name is Jen Merritt, and I'm an emotional freedom technique practitioner and life coach and massage therapist, like a certified hypnotherapist. I am presenting this introduction for an upcoming course that I'm partnering with Kirsten and Karma Diva Cleaning. I want to say I am not an expert on cleaning. That is for sure not my expertise, and that is why I'm partnering with them. But I am really good at helping people when it comes to looking at beliefs and emotional charges and helping to clear some of that. And I've recognized it with myself and a lot of other people that we have some tendencies around cleaning. We have beliefs around whose role is it. We have beliefs around timing. Culturally, we tend to value things that make money more than we value taking care of ourselves or our home. And all of these things are belief systems, and we could say, oh, it's just our culture, but we're really limiting ourselves if that's what we do. And, EFT and hypnotherapy, meditation, belief work really helps us change our mindset, and it gives us more of an empowerment around these things. And we all deserve to live in a beautiful space and to have our space something that gives us life. These are all different things we're going to talk about in the course, and we'll talk a little bit about it today, and then we'll also do some EFT tapping along with meditation, so you can have an experience of how the tapping points can help us clear our thoughts and feel better ultimately. So first, I want to kind of go over Zoom because this is a new thing for a lot of people. Right now I have a presentation open, and my screen I see all of you in little boxes, and if I scroll over that, I have an option to make it bigger, to make it smaller. I also have an option to mute my audio, to turn off my video. There is a chat box if you click more. Now on the phone it's going to look a little bit different, and but you can't do anything wrong with moving things around on your screen, and tapping on something and seeing what menu pops up. So that way, now is a really good time to do that. Take a moment to unmute the audio, to mute it. I like to use the mute feature so people can, if you're in a real classroom, you would let the teacher know that you want to share something by raising your hand. And with video, you can raise your hand. And you can also unmute your mic, and then I'll know, and I can kind of pause conversation and create space for that. My classes, the more people are interactive, the more I can tailor it to you. And honestly, the more everyone gets out of it, because people relate to each other. And sharing stories is so helpful with this work, in letting people know what's possible with it. A lot of times we don't even think that we can have a change around something. We just accept it as it is and we move on. And that's okay too. There's no right and wrong, but sometimes hearing people's stories is really nice. A nice way to learn how we can all grow, or change our perception. There is a chat box. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And in the chat box, you can say something to the group, and you can also send individual messages. So you can send, so at any point, you're welcome to send me a message in the chat box. You're welcome to send everyone a message. It's a nice thing sometimes to say hello to people. In the class, we're going to have 6 weeks together. So you might connect with other people in the group and do your own tapping outside of class, support each other. You can use the group chat to send each other messages. There's also a thing called breakout rooms with Zoom, and I'm not going to be using it today, but with the emotional freedom technique, sometimes I'll have people pair up with each other, and sometimes people just need to get out what is stressing them out. They just need to say it. And so a lot of times I'll have people work with each other and do the tapping points while talking. And I'm not going to get into all of how I'll do that. because it's done in a very safe way. It's done in a way, um, it's done in a way where, ultimately, I hope, I for sure for myself, everything's confidential that's coming up. I mean, obviously we're recording this, so there is, to a degree, um, an agreement to share things that come up. That being said, the most important thing for me is that everyone gets something from this class and that you don't feel like you have to hold back. So at any point, someone can either go to me during class, please stop recording, I want to share something privately, I just stop. Like the in the moment class content is way more important to me than giving you something you can watch at a later time. This whole introduction is about this course that we're doing. I also have other classes that are just practice groups that people can come to and be able to work on individual issues. I'll say goals. Work on individual goals, with their emotional health and their mental health. As far as this course goes, there's going to be 6 classes, and the first class is really going to be, getting everyone up to speed on EFT, making sure everyone has an experience of it, and getting familiar with what our goals are. I am recommending a couple books for this class, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up with Mary Kondo and the EFT Manual with Gary Craig. Gary Craig started EFT in the 80s. He worked with Robert Callahan. I'm giving you like a super short rundown. He really made this work so accessible for people, and I just really appreciate what he's done, and I appreciate how much I've learned from what he's put out there book-wise and video-wise. And that now a lot of people hear of it through Nick Ortner and Jessica Ortner, who I think are so amazing at their modernization of it and skills at communicating it. And it's just really awesome how EFT is transformed. And there are other fields of tapping that Robert Callahan, he was a founder of tapping, and there's thought field therapy, and there's rapid eye movement, and there's other forms of this kind of work. What is it? It's belief work. It's just like exercise. You can go to the gym and lift weights. You can walk on a treadmill. You can take a kickboxing class. You can do yoga. You can, like, walking is great. There's all these different forms of physical exercise, and there's all these different forms of belief work. During the course, each week, I want to talk about things that we're communicating to ourselves around organization, around cleaning. I want to do emotional clearing and EFT work around our identities with, whose role is it to clean? I know a lot of women who kind of just have this instinctual, it's my job, and there's identities with organization, with cleaning, to a degree that then other people don't always take responsibility. And there is authentically a genetic way we store beliefs. It is in our being, and there is genetic, historic things that we've learned about life and things that we've heard in our life, and all of this contributes to our belief system. And so in one of our classes, we're just going to talk about that. We're going to do some journaling exercises. We're going to go deeper into it, and all of that is to help us get more. It's really just self-empowerment, understanding ourselves, so that we're not necessarily limited by an acceptance of this is just how culture is. Some other kinds of resistance that I want to talk about in that class is time. A lot of people navigate the time that they have. We all have the same amount of time, and a lot of people navigate the time that they have in a way that can create resistance to getting things done that you want to get done, that kind of block us succeeding in our goals for taking care of our space. And so in each class as a group, what comes up is going to be what we talk about. So it is going to be personalized to everyone in the room. So I'll have some talking points. From there, it will be organic based on what people need. Other things we'll talk about is intuition. And for this, I really wanted to share my experience using Marie Kondo's work and going through the steps of like going through my clothes, going through books, going through papers, and just following her recommendations. As I did that, I genuinely got more intuitive around what feels right, what doesn't, to the extent that now, if I pick something up and there's an emotional charge to it, I'll feel like an electrical current in my hands. Whereas I could have just in the past been like, well, I'm just going to get rid of it. I don't want to deal with that. I have a lot more choice if I use the EFT tapping around that current, that charge.
This is very exciting because this is exactly what I'm going through right now. Is I'm cleaning things out. And I'm so stuck. This is great. Thanks, girlfriend. Right now I'm trying to do my bathroom and everything. I just feel so overwhelmed. My mother just passed away and I just going through a lot of stuff, and she lived with me. So this is really great. And I am familiar with Maria. That's who you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've read her book. I'm familiar with it. But I've never thought about, so if you pick something up and you're wondering, do I want to keep this or not keep this? So you tap on it.
Tap while holding it. Yeah, clear the charge. And the truth is, sometimes you'll get to the bottom of that experience, that you'll get to the resolution, or as you're going through the process of it, and you'll just be like, I can let this go. And then sometimes it opens up a whole world of beliefs that you're like, I had no idea that I was connecting these experiences with this thing. You like, there's things like, somebody gave you something and you want to hold on to it because you love it. But every time you look at it, like I had a thing someone gave me, a past relationship, and I really liked it. I just liked it and I wanted to keep it. But every time I walked past it, I thought of that person. And I didn't want that memory connected to that item. I still liked and cared about the item. It still gave me joy, But it really didn't, because every time I walked by it, I thought I was immediately taken to the past. And so I did EFT around it until I could look at that item and not have that connection. So the 6-week class will be making goals for, what people are trying to do when. So it's like we have the class so that we can work together and do processing and, and clear and get and just have it get easier, and if you want to align like your goals around what you're doing for yourself in your home along with the class, I think that's a part of why I want to do this. I want to help, and so it doesn't have to be an overnight thing. In in the in Marie's book, it's a lot of purging, just get rid of it. And to a degree, I know people who have cleared out space where they had to move and they just got rid of everything and they didn't have time to look at anything. And you know what? They a lot of people I see end up not wanting to have. They end up saying, well, what does it matter? That is an emotional charge right there. You're not receiving. You know what I mean? So there is something to getting rid of, but if you don't really digest what's happening, it gets stuck in your body, and it's hard to unstuck something that doesn't come up, so it can be stuck and never come up. And so there, you can do EFT around the grief of having gotten rid of a whole lot of stuff and not really had time to think about it or process it. I don't think anyone wants reorganizing their house and getting rid of stuff to take a whole lot of time. So there is also nothing wrong with just saying, you know what, I know what I want and I don't want, and I'm purging. There's nothing wrong with just saying, I'm gonna post it on Facebook or Craigslist and give it to someone and let them and give this new life. That's awesome. But there is something too, if we're walking through the world like never receiving, never letting ourselves have, because at one point in time we've gone through a major cleansing and we didn't really have time to digest that it was hard to get rid of that, or that we have grief around it. I can't make that up. If a person thinks they have that going on with them, if it's coming up for them, then I would say let's do healing work around it. Let's do EFT around that. Let's start receiving and knowing that it's okay to have in this world. Let's be, let's have those possibilities. So it's like you don't want to walk through the world like material stuff has no value or meaning, or it because at one point you got rid of it. But you also don't want to have so much stuff that you feel like you can't think clearly, or that you're always emotionally triggered because it's connecting you to the past. So some of the things we'll talk about in the one class is simply holding something and it bringing up a charge, and just going through the exploration of that, what that means for someone. There is a comfort that a lot of people have with having a place be really messy. There is a comfort in that, because it's like, well, I can accept this, and accepting that, it's like, well, can you also accept clear? Can you also accept a sense of perfection? You know what I mean? What does that even mean? Can you accept that? Can you be in your space when you can think clearly? What comes up for you then? That's a whole nother thing that can come up, that we can do EFT, so that people can choose to feel really good, clear, happy with things are messy. Cool. Be happy with that. We don't have to be miserable if our house is a mess. You know what I mean? But we also don't have to be unhappy if our house is amazing and clear and exactly how we want it to be. It's all about just expanding those possibilities and feeling really good. So that is towards the last class, hopefully where we'll be at. It'll at least be exactly what we're talking about. And from there, if as much as I can record classes so that people can have it to reflect on and they can come back to it as they go, I think that would be great.
I just have one thing to say. I don't want you to slap me with a lawsuit, but I want to say I'm in love with you. Okay? I'm in love with you.
I didn't hear what you just said. You said I'm in love with you.
I'm in love with you. I love you. Okay?
Thank you.
I want to put that out there. I love you. So let's go.
Let's do
a
it.
little nuts, and you should be afraid, but I'm in love with you.
Well, may everyone in the world spread love so easily. All right, so now we're going to get to the thing you really want to be talking about. And as far as the tapping points go, I know you're familiar with them. So it's the top of the head,
Yeah.
the inside of the eyebrow,
Yeah.
the outside of the eyebrow,
Right.
underneath of the eye. So listen, there's soft space here around your eyelid, and then there is a ridge where the bone is, and you're actually on the ridge of the bone. You're not on soft space.
Oh, okay.
So when I say eyebrow, your eyebrow is actually a little bit higher than the tapping point. Just follow the ridge of your eye socket, and you're good. So it's the eyebrow, the outside of the eye, underneath of the eye.
Oh, wait, outside of the eye, and then underneath.
Mm-hmm. And then the lip.
Matter?
Say what?
Does order matter?
Order does not matter. Okay. The order is really helpful in learning how to do it. Because if you repeat it over and over and over again, you don't have to think about it. And the number of times that we tap, don't count, don't think about it. Just tap a few times. All of this I talk about more in my introduction class, and so I can send you info for that. It's every 3 weeks. So I don't want to give all the information from my class today.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right.
But I do want you to know the points. So the next one is the collarbone point.
Yeah.
The rib point. So you're on the rib, and it's aligned, like it's aligned with your nipple. It's on the rib, under breast tissue. Like you're not on soft tissue. You're on the rib. And the next point is the arm, and you lift it up, and the scapula comes off. And also in the first class that we do for the 6 week clears, I will for sure make sure everyone knows where all of these points are. And then we have the wrist. You will see me tapping other points. Sometimes I do hand points. When I learned EFT, it was different. It just had other points. It did not have the top of the head. Life is different. So the technique morphed as what people needed. But occasionally I revert back to the way I did it for like 8 years. So, um, so when doing EFT and I'm working with people, I'm often making suggestions or I'm saying things. What I'm doing is I'm seeing if it's a good fit. I'm seeing how people respond. Does this make them, do they look more alive? Do they, do they look resistant to it? If I say something and it's not true for you, make it a practice to not say it, to let me know what is true for you. Because we have a lot of mirror neurons in our brain. We learn by mimicking. You know what little kids learn by mimicking, and it's everyone knows that. You know, it's like kids play games like school and house, and you know they're a part of what they're doing is learning how to be in the world by mimicking what they see. And adults have this belief that they don't do that, but the reality is how our brain works. We do that, and we have mirror neurons, and we learn by seeing and doing. And when we are doing EFT and we're counting on that subconscious part of us that's just mirroring, sometimes we're not getting to the truth of what's real for us because of that same part of us. So the more you can come back to practicing saying your truth and checking in, is this real for me? And I'm also having so much experience with this. I'm actually really good at recognizing for people. I've studied emotions and how it affects posture and facial expressions and breathing patterns, and I've studied so much of how the mind works. I've worked with so many people, so I know tendencies, you know. And so I'm bringing all of that into this class, which means that during the class there's going to be a lot quicker change for people because I'm coming with such a big bag of tools that I can use to help people. But it is true, ultimately I do want more and more people to have this big bag of tools. I want more and more people to know how to do this for themselves, you know, which is why I'm doing classes. So um so I this is the topics that we're talking about today. And I have talked about resistance and identity beliefs, and I've gone into the intuition and having memories. We've talked about all this. There was one testimonial I wanted to share, which was someone I was working with. I asked them what was the most like profound thing that was getting in their way that day, and she was saying it was some stuff going on with someone in her life who had some addiction issues, and they specifically, what was triggering her was a couch, and the couch had some smells on it, and every time she saw it she felt disgusted, she felt anger towards that person. And so we broke it down, and we broke down all the different things about this that were causing healing for her. And you know, it was breaking down, just seeing the couch that we did tapping around, the smell of alcohol, the smell of old food, we did tapping around each of those things. The expectation for this person to be different, we did tapping around that. You know, and then we did tapping while talking about the choices that she had with the couch. and how she was talking to this person around what she wanted. We did tapping around all of that. And by the end of an hour and a half, the couch was no longer a trigger. The thinking about the smell of alcohol was no longer a trigger. She was no longer feeling angry at this person for their addiction. She was feeling compassionate and she was feeling loving towards them. And the next time I talked to that person, not only it was still not an issue, but other people had gone to her and started talking about an old couch that smelled bad that was bothering them. And she had ended up attracting other people, like community around letting go of this old couch. So we all have stories like this, you know, and in our stuff can also be triggers and affect our relationships. I have another story I wanted to tell around stuff was and stuff and relationships. In this story, we did EFT. This was a really long time ago, but we did EFT around an emotional trigger of where to put something. This person walked in their home, and the moment they walked in, they put their keys on the table, and their spouse couldn't stand it because it was like, you just leave your keys on the table, they're just out. I want a clean space. Don't put your keys there. And so this was long enough ago that I don't remember all the things that we broke down around what that person needed. But ultimately, within a few rounds of doing tapping and and, doing the different whatever came up for that person in that moment, they were able to not have an emotional response to their partner wanting to put their keys there. Um, and so doing EFT with your partner, with whoever it is you want to resolve, often is a really great way. Um, you can do it on your own, and you can do healing work inward to make change. But then you can also, if you have someone else who wants to do EFT with you, it is sometimes really nice to do tapping alongside of for each other, you know. And that's a whole nother thing I can share with you at another time. So those are some stories that I wanted to share that are related to this course and can give people an idea as to what kinds of things we can do work on during these 6 weeks. And I also want to offer everyone who is doing this course that during that 6 week time, if they want private session with me, I usually do not time sessions. They're anywhere between an hour to 2 hours. For anyone taking this course, I would like to offer timing session and just charging $1 a minute for support. So that way, people are doing the EFT with me on a weekly basis during the class. They might not need 2 hours in a full private session to help them with something. But if they get stuck, they could make a phone call or a Zoom meeting with me, and I'll just bill them $1 a minute. And it might make doing this work a little bit more accessible during the time that we have. So there's that. Would you like to do some EFT now?
I would.
Let's say you're in a bathroom and you don't want people to hear you, but you want to just sit and breathe. Breathe and tap and say nothing at all. The feeling in your body is the most important thing. The words, the words are just a dialogue with yourself, just like your thoughts. It's just a dialogue. But the feeling that you're wanting to resolve, that the experience is really what it's about. And so you can be tapping and just being still. And that is what I wanted to do as a group today is, you know, a part of what we're doing is when your space is clear and when your space is exactly what you want it to be, what feelings come up. And often meditation and being still and quiet is a struggle because of what comes up. So I thought, let's do some meditation. We'll sit in stillness for 5 minutes, and we'll close our eyes, we'll focus on our breathing, and after 5 minutes, and it's going to be quiet because we're going to mute all of our mics and there's no sound We're not even going to play music because we're going to let clarity rise to the surface. Okay. And then we're going to do EFT on whatever comes up. And that way you can experience a little bit of peace of mind and clarity. And also how tapping does not have to be about belief work. Tapping does not have to be about negative emotions or emotional charges in general. Tapping can simply be a meditation where you're just being, and you're just being in your experience. And it's also a really nice practice to learn the points. So just because meditation might not be something you do a lot, I'm going to give some instructions. You want to be comfortable in your seat. You can be cross-legged, your feet can be on the floor. You know, honestly, if sitting is uncomfortable, I don't mind if you just turn the camera off and lay down. You could do that, but let's get comfortable. From here, focus your eyes not on the camera, but somewhere out in front of you. Focus your eyes out in front of you because your eyes are a window to your mind. And what will you do with your eyes? And softening your eyes. So look out in front of you and see if you can soften your peripheral vision so that you're looking at one point. And naturally, as you soften your eyes, there is a very subtle relaxation that may happen in your body. So you're looking at this point, and I want you to take a deep breath in so that oxygen moves in. Good. And exhale. The air will just move out. Your body knows how to breathe. And now take another deep breath in and hold it. You're looking at that point. And exhale. Your eyes, let them get softer. Almost like make a request to your eyes to soften. And continue that inner dialogue of requesting, asking your eyes to soften. Your eyes to soften so much that at some point, naturally, if not already, you're just going to want to close your eyes. And now you know how powerful your mind is, that you can make a request and you can have a sensation. So go ahead and scan your body from the top of your head to your toes and request different parts of your body to soften. Request a relaxation to move through you. And now I'm going to count backwards from 5 to 1, solely because there's a part of the brain that will relax even more. Relaxing your whole body. 4, 3, 2. Only because you want to relax right now. 1. Scanning your body, relaxing any tightness. And so meditation is simply paying attention to the sensation. So if you have a thought, just notice the sensation of it. Just for today, just for right now, there's no need to question or figure anything out because you have so much freedom when you let go of those questions and figuring things out. And you deserve to be free right now. So, as things come up, just acknowledge that it's just an experience and then go back to paying attention to the sensation that you're feeling. And I'm going to set a timer now for 5 minutes, and then we'll go right into doing some tapping. Welcome back. Check in with yourself right now and mentally acknowledge what is the feeling state that you have in your body right now. Okay. So, what is it? Describe it to yourself and be clear on it. Okay. And now we're going to do some tapping, starting at the top of the head. And just focus on the feeling that you have right now. And the eyebrow point. It also does not matter if you do one side or the other. Deep breath in, exhale, underneath of the eye, the lip point, and noticing that feeling that you have, what's going on in that space, what's your experience, the collarbone point, and the rib point, and the arm. And now this round of EFT, I'm going to mute you, okay? So you can share. And what I want to talk about, and this is the benefit of using Zoom, is that people can have an individual experience and sharing. And one, it's private, it's just you, and 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 everyone can get something that they need from it. So right now, I want you to just share with me whatever it is that was coming up that might have been a distraction for you in the meditation. And just say it out loud while tapping. And maybe I'll give you an example. Okay, so I'm going to first reflect on the last 5 minutes and the sensations that I had, the thoughts that I had, what my experience was. Okay, and so I always do the affirmation, even though I feel so much tightness in the core of my body and it's distracting. I love and accept myself, even though I have this like tightness in my gut and I just feel like I can't relax. I love and accept myself. Even though I'm telling myself to relax, I just really feel like I'm still not relaxed. I love and accept myself. And now I'm just going to say, you know, I feel I feel fidgety. I was noticing this tightness in my body. I just feel like guarded. I'm so curious. Did I forget to set the alarm? Oh no. These are things that are distracting from my meditation. So I don't want to like give you ideas. I reflect on the last 5 minutes and whatever was coming up for you, go ahead and say out loud. And start to sum up the rest of what you want to say. Okay. So now scan from the beginning of the meditation. Go to the beginning of the meditation, and I want you to share, say out loud, what are your expectations of yourself in this meditation? What are you telling yourself the meditation should be like? If you don't have an answer to that, that's okay. But if you do have an answer to that, let's tap on it. Okay. So now I want to change some of the distracting experiences, the blocks that we had to feeling clear in our meditation, and to neutralize it. So to do this, for example, for what I was saying, this tightness in my body is distracting. This worry that I forgot to do something is distracting. And I'll stick with those two because this really isn't about me. But I want to give you a tangible example of how to turn something around, you know? And so the feeling in my body, then the expectation would be that my body should be some loose blob that has no tightness. You know, that's not true. So my affirmation might be, I'm so glad that I'm strong. I'm so glad that I'm resilient. I'm so glad that my abdomen can digest food, and that's what it's doing right now. I trust that if it's tight, there's a reason for it. These are some positive things that I could turn around my distraction. Okay, so now the other distraction was worry I'm gonna mess up, worry my timings, I forgot to do something. You know, I could laugh at myself if I forgot to do something. I would be okay if someone else forgot to set the alarm. So if I was okay with someone else setting the alarm, then I could be okay with myself not setting the alarm. Okay? So those are some ways to do turnarounds. I gave you some stuff you can think about. Where are you at with affirmations for what was coming up for you during the meditation? And whatever was coming up for you, go ahead and say out loud. and start to sum up the rest of what you want to say. Okay. But it's nice to know that EFT can be a thing for you that is peace.
Right.
You know, you can do set a clock for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even honestly 1 minute, you know, it makes a difference. So whatever you can, I like setting an alarm clock because then I don't have to think about the time unless I'm thinking about did I set the alarm clock, you know? So, but yeah, you whatever, and then just once you're done, you can if there is a feeling in your body that is uncomfortable, just sit with it intact. You don't have to figure anything out. There's nothing to do. And the fact that you're already okay with that, that's great.
Well, my
You know,
body felt very much alive.
you are. Yay!
Like I could really feel it, and it felt, yeah, like it was all tingling, and it was all like ready for action.
Right on. I think this was a really nice way to kind of show you what EFT is more. The first class will go more into the basics, so that way everyone's up to speed. We'll create intentions and goals for the 6 weeks, what people are working on. The things to know is that we will be getting together for 90 minutes once a week. During the week, you know, having time to follow through with goals around organization is great. You know, that's why we're doing it, like ultimately, you know. We're doing the belief work and the healing work, but we're also cleaning up our space. Here are the dates. We're scheduled Wednesday night, 6:30, starting on March 6th. March 13th, 6:30, March 20th, March 27th, April 3rd, April 10th. Those are the 6 days that I have scheduled. We have a 6-person minimum to have the class. So
And how much is it? Or how much is it? Or what?
so the class is $150. So it ends up being $25 per 90-minute session. Listen, I also have classes Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. Wednesdays will be this class. But I have other classes if you want to drop in and work. Individual classes, I charge $30 for the group class, and I have a package of 5 classes for $125. So the you know, it's not the kind of work people do all the time. So for it is a little bit of a higher price, being that we get a lot done in a very short amount of
Yeah,
time.
I mean, it's yes, I understand. It's the
Yeah.
price is very reasonable.
Yeah, and classes are always small, so that way everyone gets something from it. And I kind of have to take in that into consideration too. So,
All
but
right,
yeah,
great.
thank you so much. I would not have been able to do this without you. So I'm glad you're here.